So, hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and I'm just here at the Dhahatuna Kuti and thought to record a short shorter wada for the internet. So I thought that could start with just a little meditation, so I can lean forward a bit and arch the spine, and look about 3 feet in front, and close our eyes. And can focus in on the breath, can know when it's coming in, and know when it's going out. If we breathe in a long breath, can just know I'm breathing in a long breath. And if we breathe in a short breath, can just know I'm breathing in a short breath. And can pose the question in the mind, what would be a really comfortable way to breathe right now? And then one can just allow the body to respond on its own. And can experiment with breathing from different areas of the body. One can look for a comfortable place to breathe from, and then one can just imagine breath energy coming in and out of that place when one breathes. And this can require a bit of a change in imagination. So one can learn to think of the breath not just as air that one's pulling in and out of the lungs, but as a kind of energy that's all around and coursing through one's body. And it's possible to pull it into and out of any part of the body one likes. So can experiment with breathing from different places, trying to find a comfortable place to breathe, where the breath flows smoothly. And from that comfortable place, one can allow awareness to spread until it fills the whole body. And one of the metaphors they give for spreading feelings of comfort through the body in the canon is like a lake with an underground source. And the water comes up from the underground source and can fill the whole lake. And in a similar way, one can spread awareness and one can spread feelings of comfort through the body. And with awareness filling one's body, one can practice whole body breathing. And when practicing whole body breathing, it can be good to change one's perception of the breath. One can just imagine as if one can pull breath energy in and out of every pore. Almost like one's body was a big sponge. So on the in-breath, one can think whole body. On the out-breath, one can think whole body. And before we finish meditating, can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond. In every dimension, may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. And can open our eyes and do a short reflection on the Dhamma. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. So I hope that everybody's having a great day wherever it might be. And there's an interesting meditation topic, a couple of them that the Buddha gives. And one of them is to reflect on one's own generosity. Basically, it's a gain for me that in a world with stingy people, more or less, that I dwell open-handed, freely giving, freely generous. And one can also reflect on one's own virtues in a similar way, kind of one's kind of morality and other things like this. One has done good things, one is keeping good values. And this leads to a reflection that the Buddha calls a reflection of the devas, which is that whatever sila these devas are keeping, whatever giving they're doing, whatever meditation they're doing, I too have done that. I can be reborn in this world of the devas. I remember when I was young that there was this unspoken idea in culture that if one did a good deed, then one shouldn't let anybody know or acknowledge it, even to oneself. And one shouldn't basically think about it. And kind of, if one does a good deed, even one kind of downplays maybe that good deed in one's own mind. And so when I came to Buddhism, kind of almost something opposite. in that when one does good deeds, one learns to reflect on them and to remember them, these kind of good deeds that one does. So I heard that in the old days in Sri Lanka, people would, when they did a good deed, they would write it down. And they had it write it in this book, and the book was called a pingpota, which means a merit book. And as they were dying on their deathbed, people would read out these good deeds that they did to them, so that their mind was happy at the time that it was passing away and could be more likely to take a good rebirth. There sometimes can be this idea that if one does a good deed and speaks a lot about it, or acknowledges it even to oneself, then conceit can build about one's good deeds. One can start to think that one is maybe better than other people, more superior than other people, and start to look down on other people. And it's interesting that the kind of stock phrase, and especially the reflection on generosity, is almost like that. Like, in a world where there's a lot of stinginess, I dwell open-handed. So there's a kind of paradox here in that basically when one reflects on one's good deeds, one wants to do so in such a way that one doesn't start thinking that one is some sort of superior person. It's more or less done as a reflection that I've had the opportunity, I've had this good opportunity to do good deeds and to develop the right view that good deeds are good. And this teaching, this knowledge, comes from other people. It kind of comes from the Buddha, his teachings, or if one isn't a Buddhist, even kind of could come from Jesus or wherever it is. And it's thanks to these teachers, thanks to my teachers, that I've learned about this, and I've been able to abandon stinginess and kind of abandon the dangers that come with stinginess. And one kind of reflects properly in this way, then this kind of conceit that can come if one thinks, oh, I've been doing these good things, can get allayed. So growing up, at least, there was this kind of, I guess, unspoken view that this kind of conceit was this very big danger, and it can be a danger. But there's also another unspoken danger in that one doesn't learn to recognize the good that one's done. And so in the West, there's sometimes this problem with self-loathing. Kind of people don't like themselves, kind of even hate themselves. And I heard about this story with the Dalai Lama, and somebody asked him this question, kind of about what to do about self-hatred. And the translator tried to translate this to him, but he didn't understand. Kind of self-hatred, kind of how does one hate oneself? And tried to translate it to him a couple times, and finally when he understood what the translation meant, he started to cry. But there's this phenomenon of self-hatred that can come up in the West, or come up different places, and it can come up, number one, if one isn't doing any good deeds. Kind of remember when talking to some different people, they would, often there's kind of comparison between like humans and viruses come out. It was kind of there was this movie that was very popular when I was younger. It was called The Matrix, and kind of there was this explicit comparison to like humans and viruses. And kind of humans can't achieve a symbiosis with their environment, and they're like viruses. They just keep spreading and eating things and destroying things, destroy the environment they live in. And so if one is living a life where basically one doesn't do much good, doesn't do much generosity, doesn't keep sila, and is basically just living a life for the sake of consumption, then it's difficult to reflect on one's good deeds. It's kind of also this kind of feeling of disliking oneself can come up, because deep down one may feel that one is basically just there to consume and take from other people. So one can change this perception around. This is one way that this kind of this self-dislike can arise. But another way is basically some people are very good people. They do a lot of good deeds, but they don't reflect on them. They don't think to themselves, I've done this good deed. This is a good thing that I've done. And kind of, I'm a good person. I'm a generous person. I've developed, they don't think to themselves, I've developed these qualities that would lead me to heaven. The same as the devas developed this quality in this realm, this realm, this realm. I've also developed these qualities. So if a person doesn't think about their good deeds in a proper proportion, in a proper way like this, then their good deeds can be downplayed, and this kind of self-hatred can arise, or even like guilt kind of upplay one's bad deeds, downplay one's good deeds, this kind of guilt can arise. People think I'm a bad person. Almost no matter what they do, they may think they're a bad person. So the antidote for this is that the Buddha gives the antidote for this in that one does good deeds and then one learns to reflect on these good deeds and gain happiness from doing these good deeds. One learns to reflect on one's good deeds and think of oneself as if one is a good person. There's a sutta where the Buddha, he says there's some spiritual teachers, and these spiritual teachers teach anybody who does evil goes to hell. And as a result of that, a person thinks to himself, I've done evil, I'm going to hell too. And he says, if that person doesn't abandon that view, then just as if he'd been picked up and put there, basically, paraphrasing, he would end up in hell. So in other words, even if a person has done a lot of good deeds, done a lot of good things, if they keep thinking about themselves like they're a bad person, then it kind of quashes the potentials for this kind of their good actions to sprout in their life. And similarly, if one goes through one's life doing good but thinking they're a bad person, it quashes the potential for those deeds to bring happiness in one's life, for one to gain happiness in one's mind that comes from doing good deeds. So this is the thing, one learns to reflect on these good deeds in an appropriate and balanced way. One learns to reflect on them that I've done good. It's thanks to the teachings of other people, thanks to the support of other people, that I've had the opportunity to learn about doing good and abandoning evil. It's a gain for me that it's so rare to have the chance to practice this, and yet I go out and practice it. This is a gain for me that in such a rare opportunity, when there's so many opportunities to do bad things, that I'm not like that. And so, of course, to have this reflection, one needs to practice generosity. But whatever small piece of generosity, whatever small piece of good one does, one learns to bring that up in the mind, to reflect on it, not to generate conceit, but to generate this attitude of happiness at one's good deeds, and to generate an attitude of contentment and ease, that one has made a safe refuge for oneself. One is building a secure refuge. One also gains the benefit that comes because if one is ever alone or doing things alone, not with other people, modern psychology has found that there's this tendency, especially when people talk, if they keep talking, then eventually they start to dig up bad things. And the mind can be similar. If one just keeps thinking, the mind spins. It can spin into these bad thoughts. So, thoughts of guilt about the past, bad memories may come up. And so the counter meditation to this the Buddha gives is this reflection on good deeds. So if one develops these reflections, reflection on generosity, reflection on one's virtue, one's sila, that one keeps generosity, reflection on the devas, that I've done these things that could take me to heaven, then these serve as a protection. Serve as a protection against self-loathing and self-hatred. Can serve as a protection against having these negative memories come up about the past. Whatever was done in the past, we can put it aside. I've done these good deeds. One builds this perception. So long as one also can cultivate that perception in such a way one doesn't get conceited. And I learned about this opportunity from other people. It's thanks to them. In this way one also generates gratitude. So with this reflection on one's generosity, reflection on one's virtue, reflection on on the devas, one can have this kind of sense of ease more in the mind. Okay? I'm a good person. I'm a person who's done good. And if this gets widespread, then one can understand why the Dalai Lama may have been confused. Self-hatred, how can one hate oneself? A person is the best for oneself, basically. So if one cultivates this perception in proper proportion, it can help to allay those dangers. And with this greater sense of ease, with this sense of joy on having done good deeds, it makes one want to do them more. Makes one want to cultivate good more, keep morality more, to generate a secure refuge more, and that can be something that gives a good foundation to build a meditation practice on. Okay, so I think leave that for reflection, and hope that everybody has a great day wherever it might be, and wishing all the blessings of Dhamma practice.